During the mid-1970s, one of the most enigmatic bands to emerge on the English music scene was Be-Bop Deluxe. And in 1975, they released their second album, Futurama. And from that, the epic Side 1 Side Closer soundtrack. Just appreciate those epic chordal sustains that explode at the beginning, like setting the stage for, a really grandiose spectacle of sound and no doubt light if you were to see them in a live setting. I just love how he plunges into a really low chord that's like lower than what you would have expected in the given the chords that preceded it in that sequence, and he says far below. It's like it goes da na 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 yeah B both children of the air, A flat ba da da, and then G flat, and then E flat. Yeah. So it goes like, yeah. Very just not where you would expect to have landed given E flat. Yeah. Not where you would. Let's catch up with the lyrics here. Tin aeroplanes trace the time past our fading windows' eyes. Past our fading windows' eyes. Huh. And the pains are pains, and the pains, like panes of glass, are pains as in physical trauma, inside, through which we see. All the glories fast unfold, all the joys lo and behold. I love the Master of Ceremonies like ring of the lyrics here. It's a bittersweet dark secret that we keep. I guess the past our fading window's eyes is just the eye, the view of through which you can see through the window is as aircrafts fly off into the distance, fade off into the distance. Both children of the air swoop and fighting feathers fly, leave the hue and cry behind and far below. In the room behind the door, like a ghost who walks the floor, I go searching for a trace of wing or beak, and feel so weak for a while from your passionate smile.
Searching for a trace of wing or beak, and feel so weak for a while from your passionate smile. Hear the wind beneath the trees. It's the soundtrack of my dreams. The song it sings is of the earth and sky. All the sleepers who awake know to well the poison taste. It's the sweet disease that carries me away.
Let's catch up with more of the lyrics. Hear the wind beneath the trees, it's the soundtrack of my dreams, and the song it sings is of the earth and sky. All the sleepers who awake know too well the poison taste. It's a sweet disease that carries me away. It's unclear to me so far whether there's actually like a story or kind of a moral behind this, or whether these are just kind of surreal couplets. He was influenced, his literary muse was the French surrealist Jean Cocteau. He oftentimes makes reference to his works, and I would imagine that these lyrics, is just like a lot of his lyrics, were inspired by the man's poetry. Cold fountains in the dark pass beneath your shining arc. Oh, part of me is crystal too. Oh, okay. That's where he goes into one of those odd changes. Yeah, there's some really odd, abrupt changes in this song, as there are on many songs on this album. It seems like he was really just free-flowing when he wrote a lot of this material, and that's what I love about it. He's just not afraid to just suddenly cut to a very unexpected key center that just doesn't naturally flow from the prior section that he was in, and then he'll just at odd moments throw in a really effusive solo. This album is like no other in their catalog in that regard. Like the prior album, there was a lot of soloing, but it was a totally different lineup aside from Bill Nelson. And some of the songs were kind of derivative of like 72 era Bowie. Jet Silver and the Dolls comes to mind. Kind of like All the Young Dudes type structure to it. Basically, on the first album, they sound like the Spiders from Mars with John McLaughlin in lieu of Mick Ronson. And on this album was once described by someone as sounding like all of your ELO, 10cc, and Queen albums playing simultaneously. It's like Roy Thomas Baker gives it just this really full, dense sound, with just that it almost sounds like the band's like in the Sonic Hurricane. On the next two albums, they were a bit more streamlined. It's almost as if the label intervened and sat Bill Nelson down and with some criticisms with kind of lecturing him about the way he wrote songs on this album, saying, "Guy, you're a great guitar player and you're capable of writing great songs, but the songs on Futurama, I mean, they go from like A to G to, in terms of part, like the structure, like ABC structure, ABC. Your songs go like A, Z, M, P, G, V. They just and so on the next album, I feel like it was almost like a somewhat contrived attempt to really fit everything into this cookie cutter, like verse, chorus, bridge, verse, and it oftentimes sounded really forced, and the couplets were trite at times. The one after that, Modern Music, was considerably better, a bit more free flowing. And then the fifth album, they completely changed style, became like this modernist kind of cold wave, new wave band, very inventive. Released an album, Drastic Plastic, that had that envisioned several different futures, fully developed, and pretty much the foreshadowed numerous new wave styles of the next 5 years, presenting a much more fully developed blueprint for the future, I would say, than Bowie's Berlin albums, which were kind of roughshod by comparison. Yeah, Drastic Plastic, one of the most innovative and forward-thinking and visionary albums of its time, but totally uncomparable to what they had done. And so their two best albums, this one and Drastic Plastic, two totally different bands, and so 5 albums, and it's just like 4 of them almost sound like they could have been recorded by totally different bands. It's amazing just how young creative energy can send you in so many directions in such a short span of time.
Co-fountains in the dark, hearts beneath your shining arms, no part of me. It's crystal too, and dance is free. In the marble mausoleum, in the shadows I can see them. Lovers, movements and the giving head. Oh, how I feel when they say the rose have no thorns. Pens trace the time past our fading windows' eyes. The pans in the sight through which we see.
The explosive climax to the first side of the album Futurama by Be-Bop Deluxe. Oh god, the way that those just open cadence, explosive, grandiose, epic, like, finale, just with like the gongs, the drum rolls, drum rolls followed by the big psh, booming gongs, and then the you basically have that guitar fugue, that and then the lowering tonic, dun, dun, F, E, D. And then meanwhile, while he's playing those fugues, he's throwing in these solos and no doubt in the studio kind of doing some overdubs because there's like several guitar parts going on at any given time and just all these solos like and just scaling higher and higher and higher and the way it's like fizzling and crackling and especially I just every last note counts. It's like toward the end as it's fading out, he goes higher and higher up the scale and just as the explosions are going off and just the feel of it all is just I could only imagine what it must have felt like playing it on stage. If they were able to recreate it with all those nuances in concert. Yeah, one of the most that track deserves to be that deserves to be in like a movie or something, or it deserves to be there should be like a ballet or something put to it, or I swear because there's a real dramatic theatrical element. It deserves to be play acted and given that kind of representation. Yeah, let's hear one more track from the album Futurama. The penultimate track on side 2, the fiery, just exuberant, Between the Worlds. The exuberance of this track. Let's bring up the lyrics. Well, I know the lyrics by heart, pretty much. Between the worlds are pearls around your lily white neck, so round, profound, all shining beads of sweat. Pretty self-explanatory. I know my way around your throat like a knife. I'll slip and steal you away to my island of sea jade. Crazy. Life is a love affair. All the girls declare it so. They know that I am a gigolo. Between the worlds I go, I go, I go. Kind of like an intergalactic Don Quixote, or I swear he is like Bill Nelson around this time was like the David Copperfield of rock. They kind of resembled. Well, David Copperfield hadn't emerged yet, they even kind of resembled one another. I mean, he's got that theatricism, that dynamic, at least conveyed in the studio. I don't know as much because I haven't really watched a lot of live performances. I would imagine on stage he was a bit more preoccupied with trying to get the scales down right. It would be hard to really be theatrical in your vocal, like to be acting out your vocals and playing the way that he does at the same time. But he at least conveys that certain dynamic manner of presentation. There's a real showbiz flair that comes through. That since after like the early 80s anyway, seemed to have slipped out of rock music altogether. But it remained in the world of magic. Magic, they always go for that spectacle, that high production and everything, that real showman, master of ceremonies type of, and flamboyance and luster and everything. Yeah.
Dreaming girls are worlds that only lovers see. The proudest shroud has fallen to my knees. I know the storm charms like a snake. Cause getting sick on CJ.
Hear the detail that's going on right here. We've got behind him saying, "I am a gigolo." The background vocalist Charlie Tumahai and Simon Fox are going like la 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 la, and then meanwhile Bill Nelson's playing that high, those like hammer offs, those diddler 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 diddler, like very high frets, of course. Yeah, that it gives it a real like laser light, like sparkling light type of guitar line. It fades right into the next song. Yeah, Swan Song. Anyway, yeah, another song by theirs on the album that this one, Between the Worlds, that had some really unusual key changes in it. I mean, it goes da na 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 na. Some chromatics in there, like throwing in some sharps, some flats, some minors, and then like moving up like half a step for like the next section and. Yeah, and those like harpsichordy keyboards and stuff, like lots of light, lots of sparkle everywhere. Yeah, produced by Roy Thomas Baker, a three-man band here. Charlie Tumahai, bass, vocals, percussion. Simon Fox, drums, percussion. And Bill Nelson, I guess, everything else. Yeah, guitar, keyboards, vocals. Yeah, he as a matter of fact, he's wearing kind of a like Harlequin outfit on the back cover, and the others are dressed sort of proto goth. His the earlier lineup, funny enough, had a real proto goth type look to them. Yeah, and Andy Clark, I guess. Was prevented from taking part in this album because of his contractual that he was, this contract that he was under at the time, and he joined on the next album. Let's see, yeah, covers everything. Yeah, it's amazing so much sound was created by just 3 people. and probably about half the sound by just one man alone. Yeah. Produced by Roy Thomas Baker around the same time that he was taking the sound, taking a very similar sound as this, even if somewhat more streamlined, somewhat more organized, to even greater global sales and exposure with Queen. This album coming out the same year as A Night at the Opera. And anyway, for more Rubies and Sapphires from the catalog of Be-Bop Deluxe, see the directory of albums by English B artists linked in the description below. Like and subscribe and follow me on social media. And leave a comment if there are any observations you have about the two songs we just heard, the lyrics, the layers, the solos, the interplay, parts that stood out to you, the key changes, just the sonic phantasmagoria of it all. And until next time, this is Zaragon, the world's most ear travel maximalist, signing off.